Once upon a time, in a dense and dark forest, lived an owl who was famous for being able to stay awake all night long. Every full moon, this owl would spread his majestic wings, take flight into the star-studded sky, and soar above the tallest trees. From up there, he'd hoot loudly, proudly declaring to the whole forest, "I am the king of the night. I am the one who can stay awake when everyone else is asleep." All the other animals would peek out from their burrows or lift their heads up from their nightly chores to listen to the owl. And every time they heard him hoot, they couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. They all had important things to do during the day, so they appreciated sleep at night. But here was this owl bragging about staying awake when every creature in the forest was fast asleep. One night, a little field mouse was collecting crumbs under the moonlight. When she heard the owl's boastful hoots, she looked up at the owl and thought to herself, how wonderful it must be to stay awake all night. Then I could gather all the crumbs I want without having to worry about predators like cats or owls. From that night on, the little mouse made it her mission to stay awake just like the owl. She tried everything. She stood on her hind legs and waved her little paws in the air like she was dancing. She ran around in circles until she was dizzy. She even pretended to be a brave knight, charging forward with a wooden sword raised high. But no matter what she did, she just couldn't stay awake. Her eyelids got droopy and droopy until finally her head hit the ground with a thud, and she fell fast asleep. Every morning when she woke up, the little mouse would look up at the sky and sigh. She wanted to stay awake all night, but she just couldn't. One day, the little mouse was gathering crumbs near the base of an old oak tree when she heard a familiar sound. It was the owl, and he was reading his nightly boast. The mouse looked up and saw that the owl had something in his beak. And as he flew closer, she noticed that it was a shiny golden crown.
Oh.
She said to herself, "Maybe if I had a crown, I could stay awake all night." So the next night, the little mouse put on a brave face and started running around, pretending to be a brave and valiant knight. After a while, she started to get dizzy again. But just as she was about to fall asleep, she remembered the owl and his magical crown. With renewed determination, she raced up the oak tree and peeked inside the owl's nest. There, nestled among some twigs, was the golden crown. The mouse quickly put on the crown, and as soon as it touched her head, she felt a surge of energy. She was wide awake and didn't feel tired at all. She carefully climbed down the tree, afraid that if the owl saw her, he'd swoop down and try to take his crown back. But the little mouse didn't care. She was too busy looking at all the crumbs she could gather now that she was awake. She collected crumbs and danced and played until the sun started to rise. Then she quickly hid in her hole, just in time before the other animals started to wake up. Every night after that, the little mouse wore the golden crown and stayed awake, collecting crumbs, exploring the forest, and having fun in the moonlight. And as for the owl, he continued to boast every night about how great it was to stay awake when everyone else was asleep. He never noticed that the little mouse was awake, wearing his crown and having the time of her life. And that's why, my friends, it's important to stay true to yourself. It's because someone else can do something doesn't mean you have to.